everyone, and welcome to Those Working Fangirls, where we talk all things nerdy book, TV, movie, pop culture fandoms, and how they integrate into our adult lives. I am Natasha.
And I am Christine.
And today we're celebrating 80 episodes of Those Fangirls. We always say forkin'.
Yeah, we do. But it is slang for the F word. Scandalous.
So in this episode today, this is a get to know the host, Ask Me Anything episode. We haven't done this since pretty much the first episode
1. And it wasn't an AMA. We kind of interviewed each other a little bit, I think, right?
We haven't
listened to our first episode in a long time.
Yeah. If you're patrons, we did do an AMA. We did a 3-part one, and that is your extra episode last year. I thought it was only this year, but it was last year this time. But we asked you guys all on Instagram to send us in questions, and today we are tackling them.
We are. There's tons of them. We're excited. We're going to get through as many as we can get through today. But if we don't get to yours, we will be doing a bonus episode with all the extra AMA questions so that we will be answering all of them. The bonus episodes are available at the Team Edward tier and up if you're interested. And there's like lots of 3 past AMAs if you do like AMAs, bonus episodes when you do become a Team Edward patron. But no pressure there. We're going to do as many as we possibly can today. Hopefully we get to yours. And I'm really sorry if we don't. But there's a lot, and we only have so much time. Before that, though, we're going to get into some Snap, Crackle, Pop Culture news, because there's a lot of stuff going on here this week. There's a new Kesha song called Joyride. Have you heard it?
No, I have not.
Okay, it's called Joyride, and it's definitely giving, like, 2010 Lady Gaga. It has Joyride. Like, the way she says Joyride, it's like when Lady Gaga says, like, that, damn it, I'm forgetting all of her things she says, but you know that like low voice she uses when she talks about things.
Rah, fashion baby, work it, move that bitch crazy.
It's like, what is a Lady Gaga song? I can't think of any.
You know what I was thinking about as I was listening to Chapel Roan? I am just excited about Chapel Roan as I was when we first discovered Lady Gaga. Because I just...
Oh, well, she's giving Lady Gaga.
Very
She's
much.
a rebirth of that.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the first thing I thought when I saw her performing. When she dressed up as like the Statue of Liberty for that performance with the cigarette in her mouth and her ass in the back, it was so Lady Gaga. It hit so hard as early Gaga, 2009, 2010. And I love it. I don't know if you all know because I don't talk about it as much anymore, but I love fucking Lady Gaga. I've been obsessed with her since the first single dropped on iTunes because I used to obsessively check iTunes for the new music. And Just Dance dropped and I bought it for like $1.99 like I did back in the day on iTunes. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Everyone should listen to Lady Gaga. And they were like, who the fuck is this?
I remember Alex introduced me in Lady Gaga. He's like, you have to listen to her. I'm like, okay.
That's cool that Alex introduced you to Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
I remember when Poker Face dropped and...
You literally typed Chapel's giving Gaga. I didn't even see that. I'm sorry. I just totally took your note.
No, it's okay. I don't mind at all. I thought you were like playing off of it. Yeah, no. I tried to get people to listen to Poker Face because I was obsessed with it when that dropped. And everyone was like, what is this shit? And then... a few months later, everyone was like, pop, poker face, poker face.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, that was my hipster Lady Gaga rant. We have today in Taylor Swift news today. She's been doing such beautiful mashups as her surprise songs that I couldn't not put it down as news, all right? I don't know if you listened to our Taylor Swift 2-part episode, but... I had this whole crazy murder timeline of her relationship with Joe and Maddie and Travis, all that shit. And I talked a lot about how I'm Gonna Get You Back, I thought was like when she had an almost getting back together moment with Joe. You can listen to the episode for the details. And I really feel like this mashup of I'm Gonna Get You Back and Dress confirmed my theory. Because Dress is about Joe. I don't know if you... It's about when she was falling in love with Joe. And I'm Gonna Get You Back was very much like channeling those feelings of like, I love that time that we had together, but also I fucking hate you now. Yeah.
I didn't hear this one. Was this in Amsterdam?
It was before Travis. So before Travis was there.
The Netherlands?
Yeah, maybe. Now they've kind of blended together because we've been tracking all the Travis ones. But then Travis surprised her in Dublin. He left. Okay, he was at a bunch of her shows.
Okay,
he
I
left.
didn't know this. I'm waiting.
Yeah, he left, went to a wedding in America. She didn't know he was going to come right back. He came right back and made it in time before the 1989 set and like slid into the VIP booth. And while she was singing August, she spots him in the VIP booth and you just see her face light up. She's like, ah! This meme was everywhere, or not meme, like this tweet, and it gave this so hard the second you see it. Like that's the opposite of the moment I knew, where she just kept looking for that person to show up with that baby I'm right here smile, and they don't. It just means so much when someone shows up for you like that without prompt, and it was like the sweetest thing ever. Like those pictures of her face were adorable. And then he was there for like all of these shows. Their anniversary of when his friendship bracelet show happened was just this past week. And on that day, she did a whole dedicated surprise song mashup to him. And it was the sweetest fucking thing. It was Mary's song and So High School, and everything has changed. And there's video of Travis crying as he watches it, like wiping his like eyes. And Brittany, Patrick Mahomes' wife, is there, and she like taps him at one point to make sure he's okay, and like kind of walks away and gives him space.
I didn't know who that was. I'm like, who is this person?
Brittany Mahomes. It was just such a sweet mashup, and she already does So High School, you know, like during the show. So it was really like, this is for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw all the videos of him dancing to all of her songs and
I
like
did.
doing the choreography.
Oh, I love
it. Was my favorite thing. The Who's Afraid of Little Old Me.
Little of Me.
When he's like holding onto the railing and like just flapping his head about. That really like sealed the deal for me on Travis.
Oh, it's so cute. I saw so many theory videos about when they officially met. Well, not so much that,
I
but
saw
like when
some
they met.
Conspiracy theories about them having gotten engaged the day before, and that's why she's like, everything has changed. And there's a moment during Love Story when she's like, he knelt to the floor and throws out a ring and said, "Marry me." And like she like kind of looks up, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, are they engaged?"
Maybe after the tour.
I don't know, but yeah, she's gonna have a year off, so who knows? That would be so wonderful. We'd be so happy for her.
Well, a lot of people are saying that this might be his last show, Dublin, because he has to go back. No,
he already made reference that he might come back on stage, so
that's true. You're right. Well, I'm like, everyone's like, oh, this might be his last stage because he has to go like into training for
maybe for a little
season.
Stretch,
but like he can still
come on the weekend when he's off. Like she came when she was off to his game.
Yeah, exactly. They'll be fine.
Also, you know how he used to wait for her to come out at the end after she did Karma? Now he just like goes to meet her the second she gets off stage, and they walk by everybody together, and he's hyping her up every time, and she's being like kind of shy, and it's adorable and it's so cute, and I love it so much. I love how supportive they are of each other. It's my favorite thing.
Okay.
Sophie saying Troy Bolton babies. Totally.
Rebecca Yarros just announced the title and the release date of the third Fourth Wing book in the Imperium series, and it's going to be called Ankh Storm, and it's out on January.
She already announced that. She just did the cover reveal.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, sorry. Cover reveal.
Onyx Storm.
Yeah. Onyx Storm. I always say Onks.
It's definitely Onyx.
Onyx Storm.
I was like,
cover reveal and release date is January 21st.
Oh, yeah. It just looks like the other covers, except it's like got a darker feel to it.
Yeah, it says something about brave the dark.
Yeah, that's what the little tagline is. Can you brave the dark?
And I'm like, does this have something to do with like Xaden Shadows?
I don't know, but also I haven't finished Iron Flames.
Yeah, you know what? Fucking finish Iron Flame. I almost spoiled her I was talking to her about it, and I was like, oh, I forgot you haven't finished it. I also did the same thing to Taya, too, because she hasn't also finished Iron Flame either.
I'm so close. I just need to play the audiobook. I honestly forgot that I hadn't finished it because I pretended that I had finished it because I was so annoyed that I hadn't finished it. So I have to fucking finish it. Like, I convinced myself that I had finished it by saying that I had finished it. I almost finished it. I need to finish it.
Everyone says, goddamn, Christine.
I know. I'm ashamed of myself, and I'm very, very sorry. I'm going to finish it. Now that we're talking about it, like, I have an audiobook opening right now. I've been trying to find a good audiobook. I fucking have one. Listen to the rest of fucking Iron Flame.
I understand it's really hard when, especially when, like, you leave a book and you're not in it and you got to get back into it. So
yeah,
I totally understand where you're at, but hurry up.
Yeah, well, that'll be what I turn on in my audiobook crave times right now that I remembered it existed. Sabrina's tour sold out. Very proud of her. Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
That's awesome. Margot Robbie is pregnant. Did you see that?
I did. Very
She's having a baby.
Her.
And then lastly, I released a book about a month and a week ago called Attached at the Hip, and it's out now. Everywhere books are sold. It was #1 on a website that you can buy books from the other day, and it was so exciting in one of the categories. I was like, what's happening? It's out. It's a survivor rom-com crossover, so any age can enjoy it. And it's a really great beach read if you need something to read on vacation. And the audiobook is really fun, and I blew through it in 5 seconds. So any way you want to read it, it's available. And if you have read it and you enjoyed it, I would super, ooper, duper appreciate it if you reviewed it on one of the sites where you buy books, or wherever you bought it, or wherever you listened, or anywhere. It's really helpful to review the book on that platform because the algorithm promotes books that are reviewed more. It's a whole thing. So thank you in advance, or thank you if you've already done that. I really appreciate it.
Yes, do it. Do it now.
Yes. Thank you. All right, we are going to get into our main discussion and save what right now for later if we have time. But before that, we're going to take a quick second and thank everybody out there listening. Thank you for being a part of our podcast world. We love y'all. And if you haven't already, we'd really appreciate it if you follow the show for free in your favorite podcasting app so you never miss an episode. And if you don't know, we release every episode on YouTube as well, visually. So if you want to watch the show, you can on youtube.com/@thoseforkingfangirls. And you can subscribe there for free so you never miss a visual episode. And we have a Patreon, as you've probably heard. This is a viewer-supported podcast. There's not many sponsors happening up in here, so we couldn't do this without our Patreon, and we are so grateful for our patrons. So we like to give them the best extra content we can, and our most consistent cool perk, in our opinion, is the Fangirl Tea Time at the end of every episode, half-an-hour show where we tell more personal stories. We dig into more personal things. It's the Team Jacob tier and up gets it. There are 80 episodes of Fangirl Tea Time just waiting if you become a patron. And you can test out being a patron for 7 days on that level. If you want to, there's a free trial available. You also get no ads, and you also get to come to the live. There are 23 people right now here for the AMA, which is so cool. Thank you all for being here. We love you. We love our patrons so much.
We do. Also, Shots gave us a lot of really great feedback. Also, we always love feedback, but she said, can you guys put the time code in where Fangirl Tea Time is at every episode? I don't know why we weren't doing this in the first place. I don't know why we
weren't doing that either. I was so, when she emailed that, I was like, wow, that is a great idea. Why haven't we been doing that?
I feel like, I'm gonna try to go back and add them in fucking 80 episodes.
Well, it's not hard for us to add them if we go through every episode, because we do have the main show on Spotify that we can look at the timestamp. And that's a hack. If you if we haven't done it yet, you can go look at the main show and see what the timestamp is. If it's like an hour and 32 minutes, then the Fangirl Tea Time will start at 1 hour and 32 minutes in. We'll definitely start adding it to the show notes of the patron version of the show. So that's called Those Working Fangirls XL, the version with Fangirl Tea Time. And yeah, it's available once you become a patron. And you also can subscribe annually and get a 16% off discount for the Patreon for whatever tier you decide to subscribe to. What is it called? We're about to get into the AMA. We will be back after these quick messages, or if you're a patron, we're jumping right on in. All right, hello, we're back. Alrighty. I thought this would be a fun one to kick it off with, but Natasha doesn't have an answer for this, but we got asked for us to talk about our worst first date ever. And I definitely have one, and I've learned so much from this. And I feel like I've talked about it in the past, but I will, kind of tell the abridged version of it. If you followed my YouTube channel back in 2012, which is now just saying it out loud, that was 12 years ago. Was my worst first date ever. This guy, I met him at a VidCon party for like one of those Maker parties. Remember there was like the networks on YouTube, and Maker was one of them that all the big YouTubers were signed to. And I was at this Maker party, and this guy just asked me for my number basically, and that had never really happened to me without like talking to someone. He was just like, oh wow, who are you, can I get your number? And I was like, okay. And I was living in California at the time for my study abroad. These are all the mistakes I made. I let him pick me up from my complex. Never let someone pick you up on a first date, because then you're trapped in their car for the rest of the time. And I think I had like a level of trust because he was at VidCon, and there was such community back at that time that you're like, okay, well, this is like a YouTube person. But he was like a producer for Maker or something. And he took me to a bar, and all of our conversations were stunted because I was like, oh, so what kind of movies? And he's like, oh, I don't really watch movies. And like, I was like, do you like Harry Potter? And he was like, I'm not into Harry Potter. And everything he did, like, he would be like, oh, all my friends are like adding me on Facebook now that I wasn't really friends with because like I have such a cool job, and like, are you impressed? And he would ask if I was impressed like all the time on this date. And after like 20 minutes, I knew that I wasn't impressed and I hated him. He then took me to a club after the bar, and I just wanted to go home, but he had like made reservations at a club. Never also do 2 stops on a first date. No. Never. Don't agree to a night first date. Most of the time I'm like coffee and that's it. You can do drinks, but I think that there's more potential for that to get stretched out if you don't like the person. Then I was stuck at a club, and he was like, you're weird, when I was at this club. What? And I remember just being like, okay, I am. And I tried to escape because one of my friends texted me and was like, oh, we're going out here if you want to meet us here. And I went to the bathroom. I was like going to go to the bathroom and try to just like get a taxi because Uber wasn't really Uber yet. So I tried to escape that way. And I remember he followed me to the bathroom. He was like, oh, I'll come with you. And it was terrible. I was trapped. You can watch the video for more details. It's been 12 years. So that was my worst first date.
I have only had 2 first dates, you guys. So there's not a lot to choose from. But I'll share my second one, because my first one was with my first ever boyfriend, and it was just, it was fine. Everything with him was just fine. But the second one wasn't bad either. I was just like, I wasn't attracted to him. I just was like, yeah, we're going to do this. And actually met him. He was a server at Disneyland at like one of like the sit down restaurants, and like he asked for my Instagram and all of that, and it was very exciting. And then like started talking on Instagram, and then he took me to the like this underground bar thing. And it was like on a Thursday night. I couldn't drink. I was still working full time. And I told Alex, I'm like, you need to be watching my location just in case. And then, of course, we go to this underground bar thing. Alex is like, hey, once I got out, he's like, I couldn't see where you were. I'm like, great.
Oh, my God.
But it was just like, it just it was fine. Conversation was fine. I was like, yeah, we'll just do drinks. And then like later we got like some food, and then he definitely wanted to take me to a second place. And I was like,
yeah,
no.
That just reminded me of my actual, like, probably worst first date. Maybe it was this is the second other one, but like in London, I also met a guy at a bar. And I gave him my number, and he took me to an underground like wine place, and he was so boring. And he took out a list of things to talk about at the date.
Oh my God!
He was like, I wrote down a bunch of movies that I like because I know you like movies. I thought we were going to eat because it was like I had to come straight from work 7. Like it was at like 7 right after my internship, and I was starving. And we went to this wine place that only had wine, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so hungry." As we were walking to another place, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry, this place has food." We go to an underground bar where there's like singing, and all they have is popcorn.
Oh no!
And it was so long. It went so long, and I came back, and all of my friends were like, oh my God, we thought you were abducted and died. Where were you? Why didn't you give us their number? And it was like 2011. Like, why weren't you answering your text? And I was like, oh, I have my phone in my purse because like I was on a date and I didn't want to be like rude. That date ended, and he was like, we have to spend as much time together as possible before you leave. And I was like, oh my God.
No thanks. Sorry.
No.
Not interested. I had a date set up at Disneyland, and my brother was like vehemently, he's like, do not do a first date at Disneyland. There's no way to end it, Natasha. You don't want to do that. I was like, but it'll be fun. Like, there's so many things to do. And he's like, don't do it. What are things you've both learned from each other in your friendship?
Oh, I feel like Natasha has taught me how to be outwardly loving to my friends, whereas I grew up in an environment where I felt like we don't like outwardly be like, love you, or like, I care about you. We're not like as open about our feelings. And it's really nice to have that with your friends because you do love them. And it's so supportive and nice to hear it out loud. And I feel like I've become a much more open about my feelings person because of how Natasha is so open with that sort of caring vibe. Yeah.
I love that. Oh my God. Hopefully I don't cry in this. What has Christine taught me in our relationship? Well, I would say Christine and I have been friends for a very long time now, 11 years. And she is my longest friendship outside of like people that I've known from high school. And we both have gone through so many different eras in our life together. And we've learned so much about each other and who we are and the women that we have become. And she's been my rock for so long. Fuck me. And there's so many things that I have learned from her. Stop crying. I think one is her work ethic is just so admirable, and I've learned so much even from the beginning of YouTube. Like she's who I learned everything from, and doing the podcast together, and she's so successful in her own right, and it's because she puts her mind to something and it gets done. And if I didn't have that, I don't know what my career would have looked like, because she's just been the best role model possible for that. And so I think that's the biggest one I think I've learned in our friendship, but not like outside of work and outside of our careers. She gives so much of her time so willingly. Like, she is so good at quality time and our conversation. And that's my favorite thing about our friendship, is that we can talk like we have this podcast, and nothing is ever old, and it's just the most amazing. She's like my life partner, and I even if I never find a husband, I know I'll always have Christine, and I just love that, and I love her, and yeah. Okay, fuck.
That's
I'm
really
done.
Nice. Yeah, Natasha says things like that like I could never say things like that before knowing Natasha. And it's really, really sweet and open and vulnerable in this way that I like aspire to be more like that. And I feel like she just slowly brought that out of me over the years. She's my rock as well. We have a very like, she's my California family out here. And I know we've talked about that a lot, but it changes when you move to a new place and you don't have someone there as your like support system, and then you find a friend that becomes like a sister to you. It changes the whole, like, it feels like home. And and I know that if I ever am in trouble or need someone, she'll be there, and I will be there for her, you know, vice versa.
Exactly. You're very grounding for me.
Thank you. Moving on to a less emotional question. I'm going back to the light ones. Which of Taylor's eras do you feel like you're currently living in, Natasha?
I don't know. Can you answer that for me?
Let's see.
I was thinking about this, and I'm like, she's so many eras involve men, and I just don't have any.
Well, I mean, no, but they also are different parts of her, I feel like, confidence wise, or like parts of her like ambition wise. You might be in like a fearless era where I feel like she's like pushing really hard in that era to like be the career that she was looking for in the fearless era, or a reputation where she's like taking control of her own narrative. I feel like maybe a mashup of those two. What do you feel?
I don't know. I feel like I've just been in like that same like taking control for a long time. Like I'm ready for something new. Like I'm ready to like, I guess, begin again. And I don't know. So maybe Red? I don't know, because Red happens after like a huge heartbreak. Yeah. And
that too.
Yeah. And she's ready to start again and start anew.
I feel like I'm in a similar vibe. I feel like I'm in Evermore right now, which is a surprise to me. But I feel like I've been looking at Evermore in a different light, like a slightly different light. I looked at it in this light, but I didn't realize that I was never in it. And it's like that, being able to look at everything that you have gone through and feeling very much like you have perspective on it and you're ready to move into the next thing as well. I feel like Evermore is finding closure in all of the big stuff that has come to an end, and I feel like I finally feel some closure in terms of like my career transitioning. For a long time it was like, what's going on? Am I posting on YouTube? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I've kind of become more comfortable, like, okay, I'm posting on like short form and I'm posting those on YouTube for now, and I'm not going to feel like so much pressure to like kill myself making YouTube videos when they're not doing as well and they're not finding a new audience. And also with my relationship with John, like I've come to like a new peace with that being done. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like I thought it was ever going to open up again, but it was just like processing the end for a long time over like the stretch of COVID coming to an end, which dragged out for a long time, the COVID end thing. I know.
It finally feels like we're far enough away from it where it feels like it's its own era now.
Yes, for sure. And I feel like with that perspective, I can like really close the door on that relationship and feel like that we're friends and it's not weird and all of that.
Oh, I was going to read off. Gabby and Release gave me some options.
Oh, yeah. What'd they say?
Gabby said maybe 1989 because she really blossomed and it's when she started really opening up about how much she loves her friends.
I feel like Natasha's already been in that era. She like was 1989, the past, like from like 2021 on.
Yeah. And then Elise says, after that emotional moment, I almost was going to say lover, but kind of loving those in your life and in your life itself. Yeah. I feel like I was just in that, and I feel like I'm transitioning into something new.
Yeah. I feel that for you too. Which era aligned most closely with your life in real time is the second half of this question. And mine for sure was Folklore. I was living... Well, oh yeah, I guess people don't know. When Folklore came out, I was in this really tumultuous place in my head about my relationship with John, because we had just moved in together that January, and then COVID happened. So the relationship was thrown into this pressure cooker where like we were around each other 24/7 all the time. He wasn't working, I was on deadline. It just really highlighted any cracks that were in the relationship. And it was like me having to come to terms with the fact that like might not work. I don't think this is going to work. Like we're probably going to break up. Taylor was like literally saying all these things that I was thinking. I just felt like she was singing about me to me. And like the one hit so hard, and then Cardigan, like all of this stuff. Like I was just relating to it so hard. I feel like a lot of people thought that she was, like believed her with her like fantasy story being like, this is just, I made up these characters, but I was like, this is clearly about her life. Like it's literally what's happening to me right now. Anyway, so Folklore for sure. And like the song Renegade, literally that song was on.
But that's not on Folklore.
No.
Is it?
You know why it's not on Folklore? I think because it was too obviously about what she was going through. And she couldn't fit it into like the fiction of Folklore in that little world. But if you listen to Renegade, it's the same vibe, but with like clearer lyrics about what she's going through. It's literally a Taylor Swift song on Aaron Dessner's fucking CD.
Yeah. I would also say Folklore was probably the closest one that aligned with my life at that time too. In the sense like my mom had just passed away. I was wanting to get out of my job because I just did not want to work there anymore. And I didn't really have anywhere to go and I was just stuck and I wanted to get out of it. And I was realizing all these things about my life and I just wanted to be out.
Yeah. Would you like to pick the next question?
Yes. Okay. So you've been online for over a decade now. How does it feel knowing people have grown up with your content? Christine.
It's been a whole cycle of kind of processing this when people, like when I first got on TikTok was the first time that it hit me that we've been online for so long. And I started to feel like, oh my God, like we're old. I had already kind of like had the internal like, oh, I'm getting older. But then the internet, when I posted on TikTok and they were like, oh my God, where have you been? Like you were my religion growing up and like you raised me. And I was like, oh my God, wait. What? Because everyone was like, I'm in college now and I was 13 when I was watching you. And I was like, whoa. It's really, really sweet and really cool to be that for somebody. And I think it took me some time to understand from the perspective of a viewer that like the first thing that hit me from that was, oh, they think I've been gone. Like, did they just like get bored of me? Was I not entertaining them anymore? Like all the stuff that I was like took to heart because of my own content. And then realizing after processing that, it's like, no, this is like the normal life trajectory where like you go to college, like different life stuff happens. Like naturally, you just end up falling out of things. And then if they are things that you truly love, you end up rediscovering them when you have the mental capacity to absorb them again. Like reading, like you fall off of reading sometimes because of everything going on in your life, but then you find it again and then you are open to the world of books again and the whole bubble comes back into your life. Like that's how the stuff on the internet works. That's how shows work. That's how everything works. And it's really beautiful to have that connection with someone, to know that like you were their childhood growing up. When people say that to you, like that's so cool because that stuff stays with you forever. Like those personality traits go into your self, like your own DNA. Like that's how I picture friends, like I took on those. They taught me so much about being a person and being funny. And well, how do you feel about it?
I had the same thing where like people found me on TikTok and like, or people start just calling me mom. And it happened
the
when
first time I was like, I'm not your mom.
Yeah. It happened when I was probably like 26, 27, and I didn't feel like old enough for that yet, because we had been on the internet since like 18. Well, I had.
Yeah.
And I just didn't, I'm like, well, that's almost, at 27, that's almost 10 years. I just didn't understand it. And now I love it. Oh my gosh. To think that these young people who are now in their careers had been watching us when they were in middle school and high school, even before that, like 12, 11 years old. They have kind of grown up with us and then also refound us on different platforms. It's such a privilege. And not many people get to have this experience online, because a lot of people started, influencers started getting really huge in 2020. And to have had that experience that we did on BookTube, which is also a sad thing, because we also won't be able to ever go back to that either, where we were young and we had so much fun together and we just made silly videos in our bedrooms, to having this as a career. Not a lot of people get to experience that, and not a lot of people get to have the audience that we have, where people have seen us grow up and have experienced life with us. And it's just such a privilege. And it's crazy when we meet people in real life and they're like, in LA, everyone's like, I'm working at this studio, but I used to watch you when I was like 14 years old. Like, that's so cool.
No, I'm getting just like really emotional thinking about it. Like, when you think about like having kids and wanting to like impart the things you love and like the wisdom and all that stuff, like a lot of people don't get to have that experience unless they're like a teacher or they have children and the children like actually like share their interests. And like weirdly, I feel like I've had that experience through YouTube because of all the people that have come up to me through the years and been like, I read this because of you and that changed my life, and this, and like, it's so beautiful and moving, and it's so rewarding to hear all that stuff about people finding this book because of you, and it changed their life and or it took them out of like this depressive state. And I feel like I've gotten that experience of like being so proud of people over and over again through my 20s and into my 30s. Every time I meet someone and they tell me their story about how like just like consuming my content made such an impact on them. And it's just, I'm so grateful for all of you who've ever come up to me and told me any of that, because it really makes such a difference in how I think about my career and just like my self-worth, even, because sometimes it feels silly making all the things that we make, because people can make you feel like it's silly, and then when you meet people in person and you realize that it's actually had an impact, it's so important to like just everything to you, like it means everything.
Well, and like the fact that Christine and I have also been through so much too, as we've grown up online, and like she has now 3 books out and people have read those and consumed those and love them. And I love hearing stories when people come up to you and they said like, I went on a study abroad because your book told me, like, I was so inspired by your book, which makes me cry, because I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. And I've wanted to have that own experience of myself. But even people who come up to me and they're like, I started sewing because of you. I'm like, that's such like a new thing in the last few years. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm still like able to inspire people, which is such a gift, inspiring people throughout different points of their life.
I feel like we both grew up in environments where we weren't feeling like anyone really cared about I don't know, at least cared about the things that we had to say in that way. like where I never felt like I would inspire people. I talked about this last week about like being on YouTube and feeling seen, but I found this like journal of mine, and it was like you prompts, and it was like, do you think you'd ever be like, what would you be famous for if you were going to be famous for something? And I was like, I would never be famous for anything. And it was just like so sad reading that. Like my 12-year-old self wrote that down because I felt like nobody looked at me in a way that I was like good enough at anything to be, inspiring in any way. I forget where I was going with this, but like this has really changed both of our lives in the most beautiful way.
And I think we are just so proud of everything that we've been able to accomplish, and to see what you guys have accomplished too as we've grown up with you.
Yeah. No, when I hear your stories, like you guys are fucking, so many people are fucking killing everything right now that like read on the tour, hearing about like everyone's like new jobs and like their journeys, and like they studied abroad and then they get this internship. Like I'm so proud of all of you. Like it's like so it is the most amazing to hear it. And I feel like so many of our listeners are so fucking smart, and I love that. Like one of my friends, I think it was Katie, who pointed out, she's like the people who are reading your books are so educated and so smart and have like the coolest jobs. And I was like, I know, and it's the coolest. I'm so fucking proud of them. Like that's amazing.
Hey, we got people to read, so I wonder why.
But anyway, yeah, that was a really long-winded answer, but like that was a loaded question. Natasha, on that same, I think this kind of transitions into this question because we got this a couple times. Do you have any regrets of anything you've ever put online about your personal life or any of your like just life in general? And I don't think I have any regrets. I think it's all led to really beautiful things.
Yeah, I don't have any regrets. I think I regret not sharing more, honestly, because I think I didn't tell people that I was dealing with an alcoholic mother until I was moving out of that toxic living situation.
Well, it would have been so hard for you to talk about that in living in the house with that.
Yeah. And I remember the day where she watched a lot of my videos and she saw things that I had talked about, and she was like that scary angry. And yes. That was very terrifying.
I don't think it would have been a good idea for your mental health to talk about it at that time, because you're living with your mom and has to react, and you have to live with her reactions.
Yeah, I do not regret anything. I'm so proud of what I've been able to put out, and I wish I could do it more, because we have this long form content, and this is where we talk about things, and I think we kind of do it in Fangirl Tea Time where it's just mostly about our lives, but I feel like I don't have that anymore, where I could just be extremely vulnerable to a camera like I did in the past. Like I share things on Instagram and things I'm going through, but like I feel like there's still like I don't have what I used to have, where I could just sit down and talk about things that I've been through.
You don't feel like this is that outlet? I feel like we do that here.
No, that's what I think it is, and that's why I said in Fangirl Tea Time. Yeah, no, this is that outlet. It's just a different way of.
It's a different format
of talking about it. Yeah, so it feels different.
I feel like I've never been as open as I am on this podcast. Like I feel so safe with our listeners, and it was always so scary being vulnerable in this way on YouTube, because it feels like you're more open to fire in terms of like the comments and like strangers finding it.
That is true. You're right. Yeah, I think I held back the reins. Now I just let it all out.
You never know who's going to find it, who's going to comment, who's going to say what. And like that stuff can be really hurtful and harsh. And you have to like kind of protect your mental health in that, like, okay, I have to limit what I say just so that I can keep functioning with the negativity that might come. You like anticipate what someone might say to tear down whatever you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Emily said, I found you guys 7 years ago, early in my career, and it revitalized my love for reading. And I love that. Sarah said, agree so strongly with everyone. BookTube brought me back to reading, and I'm forever grateful for both of you and the community.
I feel like the same thing. I was feeling so alone, and I found this community with the internet through YouTube, and I love that like we're able to do that for people.
Yeah. I think because we have so much love to give and we didn't really have an outlet to place it, and that the internet became our outlet. Like we just wanted to share a love of reading, share a love of others, share a love of life and fictional characters, and it became an outlet for that. So the next question kind of flows in to what we've been talking about. Do you guys miss YouTube? Do you ever intend to go back to YouTube?
This is a loaded question too, because I would love to be consistently on YouTube, and I am posting shorts on YouTube, but it is like the posting shorts, it takes so much longer. I'm talking about just short form content. It takes so much longer than you would imagine if you're not constantly posting content. But like you have to morph that content for every platform. You have to like change the copy for Instagram versus TikTok even a lot of the time, because TikTok people don't give a shit about you. They give a shit about the content. And Instagram, it's like they know you, so you can like be more personal. And then for YouTube, it has to be a minute or less. So like even now,
not
YouTube is my last platform to post because I can only post a minute on there, and I just get annoyed. Like for a while, I was like editing things down to a minute for YouTube, and I was like, "Fuck this!" It just lost all of its heart. So like, I do wish I could post like long form content on YouTube, and I think I am going to try to come back when I hit 40,000 words and do my writing vlog for the next book, because I do like having that chronicled. So it might be more of like a series that comes out while I'm writing. And I would love to keep doing my staple of like the favorite books of the year. Like I really love having my staples on my channel. And if there's a new Cassandra Clare book, I'll probably come back. Like I feel like not Cassandra Clare book, sorry, Shadowhunter novel. Specifically, like I will be back, but I don't think I can at this current time and juncture of my life go back to posting regularly on YouTube. What about you?
Yeah, I would say the same. I can't go back to posting regularly. I don't know what my staples are anymore, and I could do like favorite books of the year and all of that, but I see my long form content as our podcast. And
yes, me too.
I kind of wish even though I like having it separate from our channel, like I kind of wish we were still posting on our channels just to, I guess, keep it going. But I don't know, like the podcast videos. I loved doing vlogs back in the day, but I feel like when I do it, that like I'm just trying to be nostalgic in a way, and it's not new and fun for me. So like I think the last video I posted, like I like doing my big trip vlogs. I didn't do one for New Zealand, unfortunately, and I would like to post more of like sewing vlogs and things like that, because I think those do really well as from other people. But it's kind of hard because I feel like it was such a big community, and it wasn't just like me on the channel, it was all of us all together all the time, and I kind of miss that. But yeah, sewing content, possibly. It's just so much more time commitment.
Very time consuming. And I feel like that is not something like people who are watching think about as much in terms of like switching to short form. Like we're able to post much more while doing other things. When you're doing YouTube long form content, I have to solidly do that for days on end. And especially vlogs, because you have so much footage that doesn't end up going in necessarily, but you just have to go through it and you have to edit all of it before you can even put together the puzzle of the video.
For instance, when I'm sewing a project, I film it vertical, but for me to actually do a long form YouTube video, I would have to film it horizontally, and that would mean that I would have to set up my camera or and just my phone, and I would have to film it twice.
Yeah.
Because
you have to do short form content to stay relevant. Like you literally have to right now. That is the way that
just how it goes.
People are consuming content. Yeah. It's a fucking balancing act, and we're already doing 100 jobs, so we miss YouTube, but we have to like not murder ourselves.
For instance,
prioritize.
We can spend 16 hours on a YouTube video for it to only get like under 10K views.
Yeah.
Then
or
then
more than 16 hours.
More, yeah. And then we spend only a few hours on a short form video and that could go viral.
Yeah. And like I have to think about finding a reading audience, like, because I have to sell books. Like I have like, so a lot of like my content I have to keep that in mind. Like I'm going to put this much time into this, and is it going to bring in new people, or is it just going to floop on YouTube? Because when something floops after spending a week on it, that like it feels so bad.
Yeah.
Because it's not like I did this as a hobby. Like this is like my job. Like, so I need to like optimize my time and do things that are going to make me feel good. And if it doesn't do well, I don't want to feel like a shit face. That's not the right word, but you know what I mean? Like really bad. Like with a short form, I throw it up and I'm like, okay, I spent a day on that. That's okay. If you could change the ending of any book, what would it be and why, Natasha?
Honestly, my brain first goes to the Outlander series because I wish in the second book that she didn't go back for as long as she did.
Is that the ending of the book or is that the middle?
No, the ending of the book is when 20 years later she decides to go back in time.
Okay.
But the whole book is her thinking about the last few years she had with Jamie.
Okay.
And then them trying to figure out how long he survived for, and then hoping that 20 years later she's going to go back in time and he's still alive. So I literally wish she had just like had the baby, waited a fucking year, and then had gone back instead of them losing 20 years of their lives together and him not ever knowing Brianna.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah. Katie Y says, yeah, that time jump in the second book is fucking devastating. I added the F word. Sorry.
For me, the first thing that came to mind was Champion. And I don't want to, like, do I spoil what happens at the end? There's a trope at the end of it that I was just like...
Spoiler warning for
Champion by
Marie
Marie Lu.
Legend series.
Okay, skip ahead 30 seconds right now. At the end of it, there's amnesia with our couple so that they don't know each other anymore. And I'm so annoyed after all the shit that they've gone through. They survive all of this war, and then one of them has amnesia and they don't know each other anymore. I got so mad because I'd seen that too many times by that point, like over a very short period of time in some other books and TV shows. And I was like, you cannot do this to me. And the epilogue is like they see each other again and like maybe he kind of remembers her. And I was like, nope. It was so frustrating because the series is so good. And maybe if I hadn't like spent so much time with the Vampire Diaries and dystopian novels, I would have been able to like be okay with it. Anyway, next question.
Is there any sort of creative pursuit that you've never done that you would really like to in your 30s or 40s? 40s. Ugh. For example, would Natasha ever write a book?
Natasha, you go first.
Yeah, well, I told Christine that I was going to write with her this summer, and that hasn't happened yet.
To be fair, I've just started my struggle bus writing journey.
She did just start, and I just ended Lovesteria, and I'm trying to give myself like a break. And then I'm going into my grandpa's funeral this week. So I think possibly after that, but I don't know. You know what? I can't. You know why? Because then we're going to Comic-Con, okay? And
what you can do is just set aside like 20 minutes a day to like throw up stuff on a page.
I know that.
Anyone can do something for 20 minutes.
You're right. But also, you just spent a whole day thinking.
I know, but like when I first started Again But Better, I just like threw up words on a page, and it was so fun.
All right, okay. I won't make it like a big deal.
Don't put any pressure on it. Just like write shit.
Yeah. Can I write on my phone?
Yeah, I think that's the way to go at the start of like your first book. Give yourself the freedom to do whatever and just have fun. The only thing you have to do is just be like, I'm going to do this amount of time per day. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be anything. Just want to write shit down.
I used to do that all the time, like with little fanfics that I would have in my mind, and then I just stopped for some reason. So I needed to do it again. But so I would love to write a book. It is it's like number 2 on my things that I need to do starting soon. The other thing is, I talked about it in my Instagram story. I want to make a course for beginner sewists who want to learn the way like I learned how to sew.
A masterclass
On
gorilla sewing.
Yes, exactly. And then there would be a second course too on how to make a ball gown. I also am really trying to figure out how to digitize my patterns, because I realize it's very weird for beginner sewists to make patterns, and I for some reason have just taught myself how to do it because there's not a wide variety of plus size patterns, and I managed to learn how to do it myself. So I would love to digitize those, especially for people with large busts or they have a rounded belly. Like, I've learned so much over the last 3 years of sewing. So that's number 1 on the docket, and I'm starting to sew things for different people for different sizes, and I'm learning more about the body in that way. So I'm very excited, and hopefully to start a small brand of mine, but I don't know what it's going to be called yet. That's number 1.
I'm so excited for your brand.
Thanks.
I mean, it would be a dream to see any of my stories get somehow adapted into a visual medium and to be a part of that. That's something that's one of my life goals. And so hopefully sometime in the next 2 decades, I get to do that.
I want to see you do that too.
Yeah. I mean, I have obviously writer goals. I want to have success as an author, find an audience as an author, and kind of have that eventually stand as its own thing, rather than a thing that I feed from all different things. Obviously I'll keep feeding it, but have it be kind of its own entity.
Yeah. I want that for you too. I also really want to see any of your things become a visual medium so that you can get experience in that realm, and maybe we can start a production company together. In our 40s.
That would be very, very cool. Very big goals. I'd also I would love for our podcast to find a bigger audience, and for that to be a thing. We have so many creative things that we throw out every day, and for any of them to kind of find success in a way where we don't feel like we're constantly grinding for something to take off and feel a little bit more comfortable financially would be beautiful.
That would be very beautiful.
Yeah, because we love what we do so much, and it's just to be able to do it in a way where we don't feel like we're struggling to find any sort of compensation in these realms would be very, very nice.
Yeah, the stress of financial stability is, I think, what eats away at the creative mind.
But we're pretty determined.
Yep.
What would you say are your favorite personal collaborations on YouTube or in general?
I don't know.
It's hard because we've done so many fun collabs. The ones that stick out to me the most are the event collaborations that I put together, like the La La Land VidCon video where I had so many people together, and the Hamilton video, and the Mortal Instruments one that we did at VEA 2016 with Jason, Clary, and Sasha. That one really stands out to me. And the one I did, the Harry Potter nerd offs that I did with Brizzy and Tessa, because I really pushed myself outside my comfort zone to ask them to do that collab. We were new friends, and I'm so bad at interacting with new friends, and I was so proud of myself because we had such great chemistry together. Those videos bring me so much joy. I loved editing them and loved filming them, and have the best time doing Harry Potter shit with them.
The ones that I rewatch all the time would probably be the ones with Christine and I, or with Jesse and Kat. I love the face painting video so much, or recreating the movie posters one. I think that one is a riot.
You know what I just realized? That we're talking about these everybody knows them. We should have been talking about them no one does.
Was I talking about them that way?
I think we both are. We're talking about them like people who watched our YouTube channels.
Okay. So back in the day, we would film videos with our friends, and the ones I'm talking about are with Jessie the Reader and Catty Tastic and with Christine here. And we would do them when everyone was in town together for events. So Christine had a lot of these big like musical productions that she would work on for months. If I'm thinking of the Hamilton music video, and I'm thinking of the ones that we would just be like super silly in Christine's apartment or at her house in Jersey, and then Christine would spend hours editing them, and then we would just get to like watch it and be like, yes, this is so good.
The face painting one in particular took so long because we were just like filming the entire thing.
Process. And like she had to crack it. Like, how do I like make this fun?
Yeah. I would have to like film myself being a host, narrate it.
Yes.
The stress of those movie poster videos that we did these like competitions where we'd be on teams and someone would give us a movie poster, like my brother, and we would, with like Kat versus Jessie and me versus Natasha, have to like in 3 minutes recreate the movie poster best we can with shit around my apartment or my mom's house.
Fun times.
They were fun, but like we made such a mess. And like we made the judges feel so bad when like we didn't win the competition. If like Kat and Jessie won, me and Natasha would be like, are you kidding me?
That first movie poster one is the video that I show people when I'm like, oh, so we used to do these things together. Because it stands the test of time. That video is so funny. I remember like having shown Taya and Natalie those whole videos too. I think
they watched.
Also like yes, they did. Anything with Twilight, by the way, with our like Stephanie Meyer or in Forks, those collaboration videos are also so fun.
I have a video that called The Best Day Ever, where me and Natasha got to be the moderators for Stephanie Meyer at this Twilight 10th anniversary movie screening. We got to like ask her questions that she never answered before. Okay. She'd been like off the grid for years, and we asked her about Midnight Sun and she answered. Okay. And she said she was working on it. Like that was insanity in 2018. Okay. And then we also asked her about a Jacob Renesmee book, and she answered it. Okay. She said she had an outline for 3 books about Jacob and Renesmee, and that if anything ever happened to her, that we would get to read the outlines if she didn't get to write the books. That was
I forgot about that.
Coolest day, like one of the coolest days of my life. And after we moderated, like we didn't get that on film, we got to interview her, each of us separately, and do like a little video off the cuff, which we didn't have any idea we were doing. But like luckily it was just like we're able to talk about the things that she hinted at during the moderating panel because it was wild. Natasha and I, after the moderation, we're like waiting for Stephanie, and she's like talking to people. We're like, oh my God, do you think that went well? It went well. Oh my God, that went really well. She said, and then, so her business partner had asked for my book, Again But Better, had not come out yet. And there weren't even ARCs yet. They were going to be the first ARCs at Y'all Fest in November. And this was in October. And she asked for a copy of my book because they would both love to read it. And I was like, oh my God. Like this was like 2 days out from the moderating. So I emailed my publisher frantically, like, Stephanie Meyer and her business partner want a copy of the book. And they overnighted me 2 copies of the ARC. And this was the ARC before it even had a cover. So it was just like Said Again But Better. And it was my first time seeing that morning of the thing, was my first time seeing any of my writing ever in a book form. So it was so emotional. And then I brought these books to the event, gave them to Stephanie Meyer, the person I literally thought I could write a book because of Twilight. Like, and then she's in the acknowledgments. Like, and to give her that book, and then for her to be like, oh, are you gonna sign it for me? And I signed my first ever book for Stephanie Meyer. It was like one of the best days of my life. I get emotional just talking about it. That video, I am like fucking high as fuck.
I think that was such a dream event, and the way that we were just hanging out with Stephanie was just so casual. Like, she's just so down to earth, and she was so excited to, like, I think, be working with us too. Like, she wanted it felt like she wanted to be there with us, and that felt so special.
She knew we also we loved it so much.
Yeah. Advice for embracing being a single woman in your 30s. Do you have fear surrounding being single? I'm 31 and I've been single for many years. I just am now breaking free of my anxiety around potential for never getting married or having kids. There's a lot of pressure on women to do these things by a certain age. I love seeing other successful, beautiful women who embrace being single. Oh, do I have anxiety around it? I sure do. I think both Christine and I do. I think there's a question about our biggest regret. I think my biggest regret is not putting myself out there more. And it's definitely a trauma response, as my previous therapists have all told me. I love my peace because for so long I didn't have peace. And putting myself in situations where I think that my peace will be sacrificed, or where I feel unsafe or there's fear around, is something that I really have to work through. Like going on first dates and being rejected and all that. I have so much fear around it because I've finally, like, over the last 4 years, have found this peace within myself, and I'm happy, but I know that there's something missing, and I would really like to experience some things, and life is too short, and you should. And I love romance. I love romantic love. I would like to experience what so many of my friends get to experience, but also, like, it's work, a relationship is work, and I don't think I've ever really been ready for it, but I've just been working on myself for so long, and I feel like I'm just starting to be ready for it. But how do I embrace being single? I have so many friends.
Yeah. It changes the game, really.
It really does. I don't feel lonely ever. I know there's a lot of people who feel lonely. I don't feel that. I have my twin brother, and we've not been as we were very close, but we're not as close now because he works a full-time job now, and he's not with me 24/7, which is very healthy for us. But I live with someone, and so that helps. And then I have Christine, who I talk to every single day. Like, I have so many people that if I'm, like, need to talk to someone, I can just call. Now, the whole being touch deprived, that's a different story, which, like, I have to find certain people, like certain friends who like to be hugged and things like that I can do that with. Not like, like just being touched in a nice way. Yeah.
Just being, like, cozy. Yeah. And feeling, like, safe in that way.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like my 30s are for when I'm going to be searching for a partner, and I'm not as anxious about not having kids and not putting that, like, on a timeline, as there's so many other, there's IVF and there's all this that are there for technology to help women have children. I still don't know if I want children. I think I am. I'm like 75% sure I do want them, but I definitely don't want them without a partner. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. I feel like embracing being single is all about forming, like, solid friendships in your life, because I was talking about this with my neighbor. She was like, do you get lonely? Because I have, like, some single friends that are, like, lonely, but I don't think you are. And the reason that I don't feel lonely is because I nurture my friendships so much, and I have such great friendships and relationships in my life. And I've only come really into that in the past few years after breaking up with John. Because you do, when you're in a relationship, you have to devote a lot of your time to your partner. And so you don't get to foster your friendships as hard. It takes more work, and you have to learn how to do it. Because you'll notice when, like, your friend gets into their first relationship, sometimes they'll just disappear off the face of the earth because they have that support that they need from that one person, and they're not used to thinking in a way where it's like, okay, well, I still want to maintain my friendships. Like, what do I have to do now to do that when I have this person with me all the time? So when John wasn't my first relationship, so like I still reached out and called my friends, but it wasn't like I was talking to them as often. And I also feel like I didn't have anyone in my like vicinity. Like I've talked about this a lot, but having a close friendship with a neighbor has really changed the game too, because when you have someone like within 5-minute walk, you always have someone that you can count on IRL. Like if there's an emergency right now, they're right there. And that really changes the way you feel safe and not lonely as well. I think I felt the most lonely even when I had my friendships when I was here and I had just broken up with John and I knew I didn't have anybody right here. Like if I needed help immediately, there was no way. If I got locked out, I was locked out and there was no way to get help immediately. And now I know if I get locked out, like I have a friend down the street, I can knock on her door. She has a spare key. It changes it. So I feel like that is the best way to embrace your singleness, because the hardest part of being single is the loneliness. And that's also the most unhealthy part. Like people who are lonely, like don't live as long. Because there's like, it's literally scientifically proven. Put yourself out there in different ways to find people. A great way, if you're introverted, is to get a dog. Get a dog. That's how you're going to meet people in your vicinity, because you have to walk your dog. And walk the dog. So don't just let them out in the back.
You're just speaking to the choir over here. Nico's also old.
I definitely have so much anxiety now about, because I want, like Natasha was saying, like I want to experience that love that with a partner. I want to find a person to get married to and experience that like commitment in that way and going through life with. And I love romance and happy endings and I want mine. And I'm now like, I'm gonna be 34 in less than a month now. And it's really starting to weigh on me that I can't do this thing that I do where I'm like, well, I'm gonna wait till I'm not busy. And because I also treasure my like mental peace, and I am thrown into such a state of chaos when I first start dating somebody because I'm so anxious. Now I'm on medication, so I'm hoping it'll be a little different and a little easier to juggle my job and the job of getting to know somebody. Because if I wait for myself not to be on deadline, I'm never going to get back on the dating apps, because I'm probably going to be working on 2 books at once. Like I'm going to be on deadline for the next like 2 years. I just have to prioritize also dating. I have to put in that time and sacrifice maybe some of the time where I'm just like alone and recovering from deadlines, and like actually spend it with people, like new people, which is hard. But I got back on the dating apps because I was like having this whole crisis and thinking a lot about like the statement, like you have to choose between being like successful, happy, and romantically happy, or happy in like your personal love life. And I don't want to choose one or the other. Like
Me too.
And because what happens is like once you get older, if you don't have your partner, like you have no one to share your success that you built with. And I don't want to get to that point where it's like I'm like old and like never had a romantic partner like that.
Yeah, I feel the same. But I think I have been preparing for a romantic partner because I put so much of myself into my friendships, and I treat my friendships as if they are romantic partners. Like, make plans for the future. We travel together. All of those things are so important for a friendship and for friend groups as well, because like because I don't have a romantic partner. So if I want to experience these things, I experience them with my best friends. And a way to do that is to make those plans for the future and to go on dates with your friends and spend that time with them.
Even when you're with a partner, like you
doing all that stuff is so important.
Do all of that stuff. Yeah. Like friends are so important, and not just like ghosting once you find your partner is so important, because you're going to need them, and it's going to be so sad when you realize that you've like kind of let it fall to the wayside because you're not putting in any effort.
Yeah. Because I watched my mom do that. Like, she had all these best friends in college, and then I never knew them because she just was not in touch with them. And it was just so sad when I got older and I realized that she just didn't have any friends anymore.
Yeah, it takes work, just like any other relationship. Like, as life gets more chaotic, you have to work on making that time for your friends. And like me and my friend Julia, she's like super busy, and we always like, okay, when's our next friend date? And we're like, gotta get it on the calendar. And sometimes it'll be like 2 months out, but we've got it on the calendar. We're gonna catch up. We're not gonna go like a year without talking because we're busy.
Exactly. Shot says, honestly, please drop tips on how to befriend neighbors. LOL, I never speak to any of mine.
A dog. Dog's the only way I've been able to do it.
You guys, it's literally so easy. You just say hi to them as you see them fucking every single day. Sometimes I'll walk out. I'm like, hi, nice to meet you. I'm Natasha. I'm in.
I know. That's how I
here.
Actually got to know my neighbors like by name in my complex. But at the same time, I never befriended them until I had a dog and we were like walking and talking.
Well, you just have to consciously make the decision if the person looks cool enough just to befriend them.
Mm-hmm.
But you have something, you're very good friends with one of your neighbors. I am not very good friends with my neighbors. I'm just like acquaintances because I like to keep them at a distance. I don't like to be that close because they're not necessarily like, I don't have a lot in common with them.
Yeah. You have to you had to be lucky enough to find someone that you like really vibe with in the neighborhood. But to find them, you do have to be walking around.
Be outside of your place.
Maybe take walks. Yeah. Okay, let me ask you this. Have you ever had a parasocial relationship with someone, then met them and became friends? How did it go? What was it like? I think this is Shots' question.
You.
Went pretty well.
Most of my friendships, I have like stalked them online for a good while and then met them in person. I think nowadays it's interesting because there's a lot of girlies and they thems and boys in the like costuming cosplay community that I have been following for a while, and they don't necessarily live in like LA. So when like I watch their content and I consume it all, and like I get so excited when they like respond to me and followed me back. That's been really fun. I think, for example, her name's Lauren. Lauren does cosplay, and I got to hang out with her IRL at the Ren Fair this year, and she's just so fun. I had so much fun with her. She's gonna be at Comic-Con, so Christine will get to meet her.
Oh, cool.
And so
we're going to Comic-Con now. We didn't announce that. I have a panel on Sunday with some other authors. I haven't I just found out about this. I know Olivia Blake is on the panel, so I'm excited to meet her because...
Oh, wait, what does she write?
The Atlas 6. She also writes a lot of other books. Like, she pumps them out really consistently, and I think she was on like one of the internet sites writing for a long time before like some of her books got published,
like Wattpad or AO3.
Yeah, since I'm not in that world, I don't know which one it is. That's why I'm just saying one of the internet sites, because I don't know which one it was. But she had like a really big following, I think, online, and she's such a good writer, and she seems so fun. I follow her on Instagram, so I'm excited to meet her.
Yeah. Anyways, very excited. But like, what is it like to meet people that you have a parasocial relationship with? Well, you know so much about them, and they don't know much about you.
For me,
when they talk about,
I was just gonna say it's never gone well like it goes for you. I have a complete different experience with parasocial relationships.
Mine always go great.
Yeah. Well, I was doing this way before it was normal. My first parasocial relationships were with like these British vloggers, and when I went to study abroad, I was like, I'm gonna meet them. This was in 2011. This was still very weird and new. And then I went to like a concert that I knew like they were friends with the person who's putting on the concert, so I was like, maybe they'd be there. And I'm like really good at like playing it cool when it's like a boy I have a crush on, you know what I mean? But like it doesn't go well for me mentally because I am like so obsessive about like the perception and what I know and what they don't know that I know. And like, you get so anxious about that. And I feel like if you've been here for a long time, you know who I'm talking about and you've heard more about this story. But like those vloggers, that was my first time Parasocial meeting people. And I was like so fucking anxious. I just remember so much sweating and like everything was anxiety. It was exciting, but it was very anxiety ridden. And then I think I'm the other British vloggers, like a different generation of them, like the filmy British vloggers. When I met them, it was less of a parasocial relationship because I like admired what they did, but I wasn't like having a crush on them. You know what I mean? So I was able to hang out with them and it was fine and it was fun, but we never like got close, you know, like I would say hi and we could talk, but it was never like, we're best friends. You know, I've never been able to like cross that best friendy like closeness line with someone I've had a parasocial relationship. I haven't even been able to ever talk to Tessa Violet, and I've seen her in a million things. I've been watching her since the beginning of time. When I meet the Vlog Brothers, I have so much trouble stringing together words, but I've been listening and watching them and for so long. I love them. And I've met them so many times now. Like I've seen them at so many things. I can't even talk to them. I can't talk to Cassandra Clare. I can't do it. I have so much trouble. I have so much anxiety around it. So like I'm not good at it. Anyone that I've had a parasocial relationship ahead of time, I have trouble.
I think because I kind of see myself on the same level as people. Like I try not to see them above me. And when that happens, then it can be easier for me. Like I remember, like I really like some of the authors that, you know, like we're friends with, like Victoria Aveyard and Leigh Bardugo. Like I'm just like, hi, you know, just here. But if I'm thinking, I just had someone in my mind. We just did this with the Hillywood show.
Oh my God.
Because we both, because she was making me anxious.
Time.
She's like, should we go up to him? I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. Like last time I talked to them, it was like kind of weird. Then like, okay, let's just go up to them. Like, we'll just do it. We had to really hype each other up, and it went so well.
It went very well, but like at the same time, it was just I was like, oh my God, I don't want them to like. I just my initial thing is like they're going to hate me. I have this complex, and I think it's from growing up in a household like I did, where like I didn't feel like I was like worthy and ever. I have a hard time thinking that I'm on the same level as people when I walk up to them. You know what I mean? Like you just said, like with Cassandra Clare, like I fucking love her shit so much. Like I can never see myself on a level like that. So how could I ever, when I talk to her, like I feel like I can't ask her personal questions because I don't want to like feel like I'm overstepping, like stuff like that. Like I just feel like I don't want anyone to feel like I'm overstepping into their personal lives, but that's what you have to do to become friends, you know? So it's like I can't cross it easily.
Well, listen, we're going to make a pact right here, right now at San Diego Comic-Con. You are going to make some friends and you're going to be cool and it's going to go great, okay?
I really want to make friends with Olivia Blake. I want to talk to her.
Elisa and Sam says she wrote Hermione fan fiction. This is perfect. I am a huge Hermione fan.
Her new book is YA, and she has a YA name that's not Olivia Blake. And I was so confused at first because she has two Instagrams, one for her YA name and one for Olivia Blake.
Wow.
Yeah.
Elisa's, when is Comic-Con? It's
the 25th to the 28th. My panel is on the 28th at like 2:30. It's like at the end of Comic-Con. We're going to have to be there for a long time. We usually leave on Sunday.
We leave Saturday night typically.
Oh, yeah. Saturday or Sunday morning.
Will there ever be those Forking Fangirls merch? Christine?
Oh, my God. Our goal is to have merch out by September. This is our plan, right? We're both going to come up with a shirt design because Natasha was like, we're not going to agree on a shirt design. So let's just do two shirts.
Very different style, the two of us.
Yeah, so we're going to do hopefully two different shirts, and then if it goes well, maybe we'll do like sweatshirts for winter. And then if it goes well, maybe we'll do cooler stuff. We'll see.
So we will have two shirts hopefully by September. The goal is to bring it to Romance Con, right?
Yes, in September. Yeah, that was our goal. But like we have to do it immediately to hit that goal. So let's maybe do it this week. Who are some women that inspire you? Friends, family, public figures?
Well, all my friends inspire me. Jesus.
Yeah, that's a given. Let's do other thing. Taylor Swift really inspires me.
Of course she does. Well, and that's amazing because she's amazing. Margot Robbie really inspires me. When she first started acting, I watched the first thing she ever did, well, outside of the Australian stuff. I kind of knew her. Like, I thought she was so beautiful and I loved her. And then when I started seeing her pop up in other things, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad for her success. And then to hear that she started a production company so young and also had the most successful movie last year is amazing. Oh my God. She's like her business prowess is wonderful. And she's also just such a lovely, nice person too. And she's been able to keep that in this industry.
Yeah. On that note, Greta Gerwig really inspires me.
Oh yeah.
Amy Poehler inspires the shit. I've been like inspired by Amy Poehler since Parks and Rec. And like obviously before that she was on Saturday Night Live, but like I could feel her energy so much through Leslie Knope, and Leslie Knope inspired the shit out of me. If you watch Parks and Rec, you know, like Leslie Knope's like this underdog character that a lot of people disregard and blow off, but she's so optimistic and she gets shit done. She always pulls through no matter what, and that character inspired me so much throughout my early 20s. If she could do it, and she was like so underestimated, like we could do it too.
I would also say then Nicola Coughlan. I just love how warm and energetic she is and how lovely. Like when I got to meet her, she was just she was heaven. She called me heaven to see her kind of just rise from, like, she's 37 years old. Like she's in her late 30s. Yes. She's in her late 30s. And she's
so youthful.
And she's just had so much success over the last few years because of Bridgerton. Also like her fashion sense too. Like she is a curvy woman who is changing the world.
I can't even believe this.
She's 37.
Wow.
I love her. I love them all. I love all the Bridgerton people. I'm obsessed. I've had now 2 Bridgerton dreams, by the way, as Nicola Coughlan. It's bad.
Do you think love in real life has lived up to your expectations from love and romance and stories?
I haven't experienced it, so I don't know yet. I think my friendship love has, because I feel like friendship love is not really described very well in books because it's not the main.
I feel like it is, but people don't remember it as much because
that's true.
It's always romanticizing the other aspects of the romance.
Romantic love is so different, I think, in books than it is in real life, because you kind of just see the beginning of a relationship, and what we know is, you know, people who have been in relationships for a long time. And so many of my friends have been in very long-term relationships or who are married, and it's just so steadfast, but they also experience a lot of hardships within it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I feel like you get that when books continue after, because what you want to read about is the falling in love experience when you want like a lighthearted thing. And even if you want to like escape the hardships of like your relationship that takes work, but when you get like book 2 where they break up, that's what they have to do, I feel like, in these books, to like mirror the hardships of like being in relationships long term, because you only get so much time in a book. I feel like it's really cynical to think that real life love can't live up to your expectations in romance and stories, because the romance and stories is all based off of things that have happened in real life. If people are basing it off of things they've seen in movies, things that they've seen in movies have happened to people. Like these things happen to people. You just have to find the right person. And like, I feel like I'm endlessly optimistic that I will, because I see the success stories. Like I hear the stories from people who like don't settle for shit that is shitty. Like if it's not what they want, they don't settle for it. And I'm so inspired by those women who like find love later and find their person that supports them in whatever they do. Like I'm so inspired by Travis and Taylor. It really gives me hope for fucking men. He has so much power and so much high regard that could turn him into some sort of, you know, egotistical asshole. Yeah, but he's there. He's supporting her. He's singing her fucking music. He's hyping her up, and she's there at his games. Like, that is so beautiful. It's so simple, but it's so important, and it means so much to people to be supported in that way. Like, I had never, with my first relationship, wasn't like that at all. And then when I started dating John, and he was like coming to my book things when I moderated stuff, and like coming to like any of the things that I did, it was, I loved that. Like, it felt so good to have him there, and to know that he respected and thought that what I did was cool and worth his time. And my first relationship, like, that boy wouldn't even watch my YouTube videos. Like, the ones that were like open to anyone, he was like, oh, I can't, it hurts me because of this, or like this, it makes me cringe. And like, that shit, that made me feel so bad about myself. Taylor has obviously had stuff like that too, because the indie record that's much cooler than mine, that is that vibe. That is like the vibe that you're not good enough. Your stuff that you make, your art is not cool enough, but they're an artist and their stuff is higher than you. That's terrible.
No, you're right. I think Taylor and Travis have really, like, I love watching them because it gives me so much hope. And just to see them support each other is beautiful. And I have people in my life who are like that, like within like their marriage. And I love to see it. And I hope to experience that at some point.
Yeah. I feel like as we get a little bit older, we realize that things may not last forever, but like, it's worth it to experience it. And you feel that more when you get older, like that perfect romance. Like, if this relationship, like if you see a couple that's been married for 15 years and maybe they get divorced, like, that doesn't mean that it was a failure, because they could have had 15 beautiful years and maybe they've just grown apart. Like, that happens so much. And I think I have come to terms with like not thinking that that was like a tragedy, you know, like it doesn't have to be Bella and Edward forever, because they're not fucking vampires. They're changing and evolving.
Yeah, I think that too. Like, we just watched that Family Affair movie on Netflix, and Kathy Bates goes like, tomorrow is none of your business. Like, who the end is none of your business. It doesn't matter how it ends. Just no, life is short. Just go for it. It's worth it. Experience it. Do the thing. It's like all my books. Do it. Just do it. So what brings the most joy to your day, Christine?
So many like little things bring so much joy to my day. Like, my oatmeal in the morning when I have blueberries and bananas and almond butter. Like, I get so excited to have that in the morning. Then I love the afternoon walk when I get to chat with my neighbors. That brings me a lot of joy. And then the nighttime call with Natasha brings me a lot of joy after the day, to like kind of unwind as I take Bellamy for his last walk. Also, like, food. I get so much joy from every meal. Like, lunch. I fucking love lunch. I fucking love my dinner. Like, I love sitting down and putting a TV show on that I love and eating and enjoying that break. What about you?
As someone who's recovering from like a binge food eating disorder, I can't put joy in my food, because if I do that, then it's bad. So I wish I could say that. I do love like having a meal and watching a show. That is one of my favorite things. My other favorite thing is when there is a show that Alex and I absolutely love and we get to watch it together. That is such a big joy in my life. Also, just being able to work from home is so nice and so lovely, and having the freedom to do things when I would like to, compared to when I was working a full-time job, is just every day. I'm just so thankful for that. And my puppy is my joy. I know, you forgot to say Bellamy.
He brings me so much joy.
My nighttime chats with Christine also. I always like, when she doesn't call me, I'm like, what's going on? She's not going for a walk. She must be in her mind palace.
Yeah, or like when I'm home, I'm like, we're on a different, I'm not home. When I'm in New Jersey and we're on different timelines, and the night doesn't line up with Natasha's night. That blows.
Like, I always feel like such regret when I can't answer a call. I'm like, I'm with someone. I'm sorry.
I know, it's so early. Usually when I call from New Jersey, it'll be like 11:30, 12 my time. And Natasha's like, I'm making dinner.
Yeah. I make dinner very late.
Meanwhile, I'm like, 3:30, it's time to start dinner.
At 5 p.m. she's eating dinner. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. Also, like during the summertime, I love a good summer day, like where there's not a lot to do. I can go out by the pool or we go to the beach and I get like tired from the sun or from being in the water, or reading outside is one of my favorite things to do. And then coming home and taking a shower and like making dinner. Oh, it's the best. That's one of my favorite days.
I fucking love a shower with a book. That brings me so much joy.
Mm-hmm.
This is why cooking is so stressful to me, like, because my joy is so much in the food that I eat. And if it's something new and I end up not liking it, like, that's my joy lost for the day. Like it fucking sucks. Sometimes I like cry after making something and I like don't like it and I just spend so much time by myself like stressed out and I'm like, it's not even good.
At that point it's just like, well, I'm just gonna go pick something up because I need a good time and actually like to enjoy something. Like life's too short to not enjoy something.
Yeah, no, that's the motto here. But like when you're on a budget, sometimes you're like, fuck.
I know. Oh, believe me, I know.
Anyway, I think that's going to wrap up our AMA episode. If your question wasn't answered and you're not a patron, I'm really sorry. We did our best. I feel like we got really deep with a lot of these, a lot of things that we would usually like talk about in tea time. So if you liked this, you'd probably like our tea time, Fangirl Tea Time bonus perk that you get at the $5 level and up. And that's available in the show notes. The link is in the show notes. And if you want to test it out for free, you can. We're going to do Mary Cliff before we end. Sorry, I forgot about Mary Cliff.
Okay, just came up with this right now. Christine, Mary Kiss Cliff.
Oh my God.
Shower time, oatmeal time, or phone call time?
What are you doing? This is horrible. Why would you do this? You just took the things that bring me joy and put them in something that I have to cliff on?
Hey, two of those things are also my joy, too.
Uh-huh. You go
if
first.
You cliff... Okay, well, I'm cliffing oatmeal.
You're like forcing me to cliff oatmeal. Like, how can I cliff showers or phone calls? What are you doing?
You can cliff showers. You can just take a bath.
I cannot cliff showers. My bath is not clean enough.
I'm going to marry phone calls, and I'm going to kiss a shower.
I mean, I have to marry phone calls, too. Who am I if I don't have connection to humans?
You could just drive to them.
They're so far away. They're on the other side of the country. Like, I have too many people that don't live here. I guess I'm going to fucking kiss shower and cliff oatmeal. Starve to death.
Amazing. There's other things you can eat besides oatmeal.
They're not as good.
Chloe and I just are always making fun of her. Because Christine, literally, we went to dinner last week. We were going to wait in line for this like gelato place, but it was way too long. And she's like, oh, it's okay. I have a cookie at home. And I've got oatmeal too. Like, I can't wait to have my oatmeal. Chloe and I are like, of course, you weirdo. Christine has oatmeal twice a day. I don't understand you sometimes. I don't know how you do it.
It's like tea. Anyway, I love oatmeal. It's delicious. Get the maple brown sugar kind. And it's dessert and breakfast.
Shot says, I feel Natasha's frustration on this. Oatmeal is not tea. Oatmeal is weird.
I felt personally attacked when Cassandra Clare used oatmeal as like a gross food in The Dark Artifices. They're like, I felt like she was specifically calling out my love for oatmeal.
Well, oatmeal can be disgusting. Like if you don't put things in it.
Obviously you have to do it right. Anything can be disgusting if you do it wrong. A banana can be disgusting if it's brown and gross. Like, come on. Anyway,
you like green bananas. I don't like green bananas.
I like when they're on the verge of yellow, not green. You have to get them at the right type when it's like a nice mix of green and yellow. Emily is with me on the oatmeal train. We're going to wrap this up because we have to go record Fangirl Tea Time and we still have lots of stories to talk about in there.
Katie said, okay, remember dinosaur egg oatmeal? That was bomb. Oh my God, I remember that.
I didn't get into oatmeal until college, so I don't remember it.
I ate it when I was young. It was like these like bursts of
I do remember the commercials.
Sugar.
Yeah, I remember the commercials for it because I love dinosaurs. Anyway, we're actually wrapping up now. We will post on the Instagram when the bonus episode comes out for the Edward patrons and up. If you are interested in listening to that, at that tier, you also get like our commentary. So there's some movie commentaries there. If you want to watch like Charlie's Angels with us or Pride and Prejudice with us, you get that, the Team Edward tier and up. And I think New Moon and Twilight. Maybe Twilight was free. I think Twilight was in the
Twilight's
movie.
free.
Yeah. That's linked in the description below. My name's Christine. We make episodes we release episodes every Friday. Our podcast is edited by Christine and Natasha, Alex Polis, and Ricky McBrayer. And
our socials are by Chloe Laverson. She does an amazing job over there. So make sure you're following us on Instagram and TikTok.
Yes. Our
music is by Cole Jenkins with vocals by Heather Traska.
Yes.
Thank you guys all so much for being here today. We will see you next Friday. I'm Natasha.
I'm Christine, and Fangirl Tea Time starts right now.
Bye.